Holy shit. He said what?
Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain.
It was a dreadful thing to do and actually completely wrong. He is quite hard and harsh.
He became hypersensitive and blamed the media for the crashes of his
People like Meghan will
relationships.
always stay with the man if there's no better option.
For years, whispers swirled in the shadows, rumors too explosive for most people to even say out loud. But then came Angela Levin, a veteran royal biographer with decades of experience dissecting the monarchy. She didn't hedge, she didn't soften her words, she detonated. Levin stepped into the silence Harry and Meghan left behind, and spoke the question everyone else was too afraid to ask. Were Archie and Lilibet really born the way we were told? With that single suggestion, she ripped through the carefully polished image the Sussexes had spent years trying to build. And it wasn't just gossip. Levin's voice carried weight. This wasn't some anonymous source hiding behind tabloids. This was a woman who had observed the royals up close, who had seen how every other royal mother before Meghan followed tradition with transparency. Her words cut deeper because they echoed the doubts millions had already noticed, but never dared to put into the open. The lack of hospital photos, the missing medical records, the staged smiles that replaced centuries-old customs. Levin didn't accuse out of spite. She exposed out of experience, and in doing so, she dragged the whispers into the spotlight, turning them into a full-blown scandal. Because once those doubts became public, Meghan and Harry weren't just a rebellious couple cashing in on fame. They became a threat to the very legitimacy of the monarchy. Harry's reaction wasn't calm, measured, or fatherly. It was furious. The moment Angela Levin's words hit the airwaves, he didn't offer proof, he didn't reassure the public. He threatened lawsuits. For a man who claimed he escaped the palace to get away from toxic press, leaning on lawyers like a crutch only made him look weaker. And here's the irony. Legal threats don't kill rumors, they feed them. The second Harry went on the attack, the world didn't think, poor Harry unfairly targeted. They thought, what's he hiding? Fury without facts isn't strength, it's desperation. Even worse, Meghan stayed silent. No interviews, no statements, no pushback. Just silence. And in scandals like this, silence doesn't look like dignity. It looks like a void. It left Harry swinging alone, red-faced and raging, while the whispers only grew louder. Every tantrum, every threat, every hint of panic told the world one thing. Harry wasn't confident in the truth. He was terrified of it, and the more he fought to shut Levin down, the more believable her claims became. Because if the Sussexes truly had nothing to hide, there's one simple way to end the speculation. But that solution was the one thing they seemed determined to avoid. 3 little letters could have ended the scandal instantly. DNA. One swab, one test, one undeniable answer. But instead of embracing the simplest proof imaginable, Harry and Meghan treated it like kryptonite, something too dangerous to even touch. Commentators, journalists, and even former royal supporters all began demanding the same thing. Cold, scientific evidence. No staged photos. No glossy Netflix footage. Just the truth. And the longer that proof was avoided, the more the whispers turned into roars. The spotlight didn't just rest on Archie anymore. It shifted squarely onto Lilibet. Her very name was tied to the late queen, a symbol of continuity and respect. But instead of honor, it became the centerpiece of doubt. Was she truly Meghan's biological child? Or just another carefully crafted piece in the Sussex brand machine? In a monarchy where bloodline is everything, even the possibility of doubt is catastrophic. Without transparency, succession itself becomes fragile, nothing more than smoke and mirror. And Harry and Meghan's silence made that fragility impossible to ignore. Because in the royal world, the truth isn't optional. It's the foundation. And the more they dodged it, the closer that foundation came to collapsing. For generations, royal mothers have followed an unwritten script. You give birth, you step outside the hospital doors, and you present the child to the nation that will one day follow them. Diana did it. Kate Middleton did it 3 times. Exhaustion written across her face, but transparency shining through. That moment wasn't about glamour. It was about trust. But Meghan? She tore up the script. There were no hospital steps, no clear medical bulletins, no reassuring tradition. Instead, the world got secrecy, odd photo angles, carefully staged images, and a baby bump that seemed to change shape depending on the day. It felt less like royal duty and more like the finale of a reality TV season, and the public noticed. Every missing detail, every controlled release, every unanswered question became fuel for suspicion. Surrogacy whispers, staged photos, a couple desperate to manage a narrative they could no longer control. In trying to modernize the monarchy, Meghan and Harry didn't bring it forward, they undermined it. And by choosing secrecy over tradition, they planted seeds of doubt that may never be erased. Because in royalty, tradition isn't just ceremony, it's proof. Without it, trust vanishes. And once trust is gone, legitimacy is the next to fall. This scandal was never just about Meghan and Harry. It was never just about staged photos, missing records, or even Angela Levin's bombshell words. At its core, it's about the very survival of the monarchy itself. A crown doesn't rest on public opinion polls or Hollywood contracts. It rests on bloodlines, an unbroken chain that stretches back centuries. Without that chain, the monarchy isn't tradition, it's theater. And what happens if the public begins to believe that the chain has been broken? Every unanswered question about Archie and Lilibet doesn't just put pressure on Meghan and Harry, it puts cracks in the foundation of royal legitimacy. Whispers of surrogacy or secrecy don't stay whispers for long. They become doubts, and doubts when it comes to succession are poison. The monarchy has survived wars, abdications, even betrayals. But what it cannot survive is a loss of trust in the very blood that gives it authority. Meghan and Harry's silence has pushed the monarchy into dangerous territory. Because if their children's origins are questioned, then the crown itself is questioned. And when the crown is questioned, the entire system trembles. Angela Levin didn't just drop her revelation and walk away. She twisted the knife. She warned that if Harry ever dragged this into a courtroom, the fallout could be catastrophic. Because in court, titles don't matter. Cameras don't matter. Reputation doesn't matter. What matters are records, receipts, and undeniable proof. And that means medical files, witness accounts, DNA tests. The very things Harry and Meghan have avoided for years would suddenly become mandatory. No staged documentaries, no carefully worded press releases, just cold, hard evidence laid bare under oath. For a couple addicted to controlling the narrative, the thought of being stripped of that control must be their worst nightmare. Imagine Meghan, who has built her image around privacy and power, forced to open every hidden file. Imagine Harry, the prince who once ran from the press, forced to answer questions he's spent years dodging. And Levin hinted she isn't finished, that she has more information, more ammunition ready to bring forward if the Sussexes push their luck. Which means every legal threat Harry makes doesn't close the story. It risks blowing it wide open, because in the battle between whispers and evidence, only one side can survive. And if the courtroom becomes the battlefield, the Sussexes might not just lose the case, they could lose everything. For years, Harry and Meghan sold themselves as the golden couple of Montecito, the glamorous ex-royals who could rewrite the rulebook and cash in on their story. But as the doubts grew louder, that glitter started to fade. Hollywood, once eager to open its doors, has begun closing them. Big contracts have collapsed. Media deals have evaporated. Their so-called empire now looks more like a crumbling facade. Meghan, who styled herself as Hollywood royalty, suddenly finds fewer invitations, fewer allies, fewer chances to control the narrative. Harry, who thought his royal name guaranteed influence, is learning the hard way that a title means nothing when credibility vanishes, and Angela Levin's warning only amplified the collapse. If this ever goes to court, the damage won't just be reputational, it'll be financial, political, personal. Everything they've built on whispers of victimhood and staged vulnerability could come crashing down in a single verdict. The silence they once used as a shield is now eating away at their foundation. The more they hide, the weaker they look. The more they threaten, the more desperate they seem. And the more their empire shrinks, the clearer it becomes. Harry and Meghan may not just be losing control of their image, they may be losing everything.